Few names echo through Roman history with as much notoriety as Caligula. Born Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, he reigned for just 4 tumultuous years. From 37 to 41 CE, he's remembered as a ruler who was crazy, cruel, and conceited, a figure whose name became a byword for excess and dangerous madness. But why does this short reign dominate our perception of imperial depravity? The answer lies not just in the man, but in the men who wrote his story. Much of what we know comes from ancient sources like Suetonius and Cassius Dio, written decades after his death, and filled with a clear agenda: to vilify him and strengthen the legitimacy of later dynasties. So we must ask, was Caligula truly an insane tyrant, or was his madness a constructed political narrative designed to undermine an emperor who dared to humiliate the aristocracy? Caligula possessed an impeccable pedigree. His father, Germanicus, was a highly respected general, and his mother, Agrippina the Elder, was the granddaughter of the first emperor, Augustus. The name Caligula actually means little boot. He earned this nickname as a toddler, traveling with his father on military campaigns in Germania. The legionaries made the small boy their mascot, dressing him in a miniature uniform, complete with tiny military boots or caligae. He was a favorite of the troops, but this charmed youth quickly shattered. In 19 CE, his father Germanicus died amidst widespread rumors that Emperor Tiberius had him poisoned. Caligula was just 7. In the years that followed, his mother and 2 brothers were destroyed in purges instigated by Tiberius. Caligula survived, but only by adapting to the cruel political reality. He was summoned to the island of Capri in 31 CE by Tiberius, where he lived for 5 years. This period was his grim education in survival. He was forced to hide his resentment for the man allegedly responsible for his family's annihilation. It was said that he was never a better slave or a worse master. When Tiberius died in March 37 CE, the Senate, the people, and the military acclaimed the 24-year-old Caligula as the sole emperor. His accession was met with total elation and celebrated with lavish sacrifices. The first months of his rule were hailed as a golden age. He made sweeping popular reforms, ending unpopular treason trials, recalling exiles, and burning the records of those who had attacked his family. He retrieved the ashes of his mother and brothers and interred them in the mausoleum of Augustus. He even renamed the month of September after his father, Germanicus. Crucially, Caligula doubled the gratitude payment to the Praetorian Guard and paid bonuses to the army, immediately bolstering his military support. He significantly increased public entertainment, providing spectacular gladiatorial shows and horse races. However, the expense was staggering. The treasury contained 2.7 billion sesterces upon Tiberius' death, an amount Caligula spent entirely in just 1 year. The honeymoon ended abruptly in the fall of 37 CE, when Caligula fell gravely ill. When he recovered, ancient sources unanimously record a dramatic personality shift. Suetonius explicitly transitions his narrative, thus far of a prince. Now we must relate of a monster. He became paranoid, suffering from severe insomnia and vivid nightmares. Modern historians and medical researchers had moved beyond simple madness to seek plausible physiological explanations. One leading hypothesis is the epileptic psychosis theory. Caligula may have had underlying epilepsy since childhood, and the near-fatal illness could have triggered an epileptic psychosis. This condition is characterized by paranoia, delusions, manic behavior, and lack of impulse control symptoms that directly match the erratic behavior noted by historians. A compounding factor may have been chronic lead poisoning. Roman elites often drank wine sweetened with a syrup prepared in lead vessels. Lead poisoning causes cognitive disorders and irritability. Regardless of the clinical cause, the political effects were immediate. Within months of his recovery, he eliminated potential rivals, including his adopted son Gemellus, and the Praetorian prefect, who helped him secure the throne. Caligula then pressed an increasingly absolute style of rule, fundamentally disrespecting the Senate. He saw the senators as rivals who deserved contempt, famously stating, "Let them hate me, so long as they fear me." He humiliated them by forcing them to run alongside his chariot, or forcing their wives to join him privately during banquets, only to return and publicly critique their performance. After exhausting the state treasury, he resorted to brutal tactics to raise funds, initiating a financial crisis by confiscating property from the wealthy under false accusations and instituting unprecedented petty taxes. These included taxes on artisans, slaves, and even prostitutes. Despite his fiscal madness, Caligula did leave behind notable accomplishments. He began construction on two major aqueducts into Rome, the Aqua Claudia and the Anio Novus, both considered engineering marvels. He also completed the Theater of Pompey and built a massive racetrack in the Vatican area. Caligula's infamy is cemented by three outlandish stories used by his detractors to prove his insanity. First, the horse consul. The most famous tale says Caligula planned to appoint his favorite racehorse, Incitatus, as a consul. While Incitatus did have a marble stable and an ivory manger, historians now see this as a profound act of mockery directed at the Senate, implying that his horse would do the job just as well. It was a calculated humiliation. Next, the Baiae Bridge. In 39 CE, Caligula ordered the construction of a temporary floating bridge spanning over 2 miles across the Bay of Naples. He dedicated it with a 2-day festival, riding across it wearing the breastplate of Alexander the Great. It was a massive spectacle, a demonstration of his absolute command over resources. Finally, the Seychelles and the war on Neptune. During an aborted invasion of Britain, Caligula allegedly ordered his soldiers to gather seashells, calling them the spoils of the ocean. This is often seen as pure insanity. But another theory suggests a linguistic misinterpretation. The term for seashells may have been confused with a military term for packing up camp, turning a tactical order into an absurd failure. Caligula's relentless humiliation and fear tactics created a vast network of enemies. His paranoia peaked with his demands to be worshipped as a living god. This was highly destabilizing, particularly in provinces like Judea, where his order to place his statue in the Jerusalem temple risked widespread rebellion. The final conspiracy was led by Cassius Chaerea, a tribune in the Praetorian Guard, backed by disgruntled senators. On January 24, 41 CE, Caligula was ambushed in an unguarded passage beneath the palace. The conspirators dispatched him with approximately 30 wounds. In a final act, his wife and young daughter were also murdered. The Senate briefly debated restoring the Republic, but this dream was instantly crushed by the Praetorian Guard, who found Caligula's uncle, Claudius, hiding and immediately acclaimed him as the new emperor. Caligula's turbulent reign became a foundational story for Roman historians, framing him as the ultimate mad tyrant to justify his assassination. Ultimately, his story is a profound demonstration of what happens when absolute power is combined with political trauma and potential physiological instability. His life was the historical equivalent of a supernova, brilliant, brief, and utterly destructive. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into history.